At an average speed of 4 meters per second, your dragon boat will complete 200 meters in 50 seconds and 500 meters in 2 minutes and 5 seconds. At an average speed of 4.6 meters per second, your 200 meter race will be completed in 43 seconds and 500 meters will be completed in 1 minute and 47 seconds, which is the world record. And for the 200 meter record of 39.2 seconds, the average boat speed would be 5.09 meters per second. Now, why can't we sustain that speed over 500 meters? It's because we're human. Humans can produce large amounts of power in short periods of time, but only can produce low amounts of power over long periods of time. Here is Katrina demonstrating upper body power using a ski ergometer. The biomechanics bears some similarity to the upper body movement in a dragon boat stroke. An ergometer is an excellent tool for assessing how much power you produce. By knowing how much power you produce, you can evaluate whether that's sufficient to meet your goals. And if insufficient to meet your goals, you can use an ergometer to determine how much more power you need to meet your goals, from which then you'll have to develop a method and embark on a mission to achieve that goal. This calibration chart from a kayak ergometer shows that a medium paddler producing 200 watts will travel at 4 meters per second. But if your goal is to break the world 500 meter record, you will need to produce about 330 watts over 1 minute and 47 seconds. If your goal is the world record for 200 meters, you will need to travel at 5 meters per second, and therefore you'll need to produce just over 400 watts. Sorry about all the extra lines, I got carried away. Now, this is a very common technique used at training. It produces lower power, but you can do it over a longer period of time. If you want to produce up to and over 300 watts of power, you need to use a different technique. Here is a team using a sprint type technique. It is difficult to replicate at training, much easier to replicate in a race, but you don't want to be doing this all day at training. Now, to become more skilled at this, you'll need to repeat this over many repetitions, but you can't produce this much power for long, so you'll need to be innovative and think outside of the square in designing your exercise program. This mystery paddler who produced 450 watts when tested previously, what is it about his technique, about his biomechanics that is different, that allows him to produce so much more power? Let's break it down. If you have a high arm action to increase your downward force, or if you add a throwing action to increase your top arm drive, how much power will you add to your stroke? Remember, if you're trying to discover this high power technique, or you're trying to fine-tune this high power technique over a long exercise session, the longer the exercise session, the less likely you will be using the technique to produce such high power. It's just impossible.